Hello there, my name is Sixo, but more on that later because I'm practically quaking with anticipation for what's up for review today. We've got Legacy United Deluxe Quake, and I think he looks pretty good from the pictures I've seen so far, so I can't wait to check it out in hand, especially as I'm quite a big fan of the original 1988 toy. Before we kick off though, I should mention that this review is brought to you by a new sponsor for the channel, and that is Transforverse.eu, a European-based Transformers retailer which has got everything from your current Legacy toys generations through to like Studio Series and Masterpiece and some third-party bits as well, so you should absolutely go and check them out, and you can get a discount there as well by using the code Sixoverse, which gets you 5% across the whole store with no minimum order quantity. So do go and check them out, there's a link in the description below. Anyway, let's go ahead and get this guy open, see what it's all about. Really excited for this one, gotta say. Especially as a lot of the Legacy Deluxe efforts have been really good of late. Naturally gotta get him unclipped from all these little twisty tie things, these little plastic ties. It's not too bad. It's always one of these things that confounds me somewhere along the line. There we go, got him free. Then got his little parcel of weapons, including his target masters on the back. I have to say, as far as bundles of accessories goes, this feels quite substantial actually, so there we are. So as predicted, of course, we've got his little pair of target masters in there. We'll check those out in just a minute. In the meantime, you've also got this tank turret piece as well, which also forms his backpack. If you just kind of fold it over like so and kind of clip it in just there, it's a little bit tight, and then that just pegs in onto his back. And then here we go, we've got Quake in his robot mode, and I have to say, I think he looks pretty nice. I'm digging it. I love the proportions on this thing. I love the overall look. It's kind of evocative of the original toy, but it's not entirely slavish to it. And I think it's incredibly handsome as well. The colors are good. It's a winner for me. I don't know, there's just something about the overall vibe of this guy that is just like an instant hit to my brain. I can't really describe it other than it just works for me on every level. This is kind of exactly what I want these revisions of these classic characters to kind of look like. Like, it's very old school G1 in its way, and yet it's not, but it's super articulated, so I don't know, it sort of hits all the right notes for me. I mean, look, we have to talk about that head sculpt to start with, right? It's just gorgeous. Really love the gold face. The sculpting on it is superb. Quite a sort of unique head crest and everything as well, with his little antenna, and I just think it's beautiful. It does have some nice little red eyes going on there as well. They're not the easiest to see. They maybe could have been a little bit more vivid, but still, they're there and it's appreciated. Really enjoying this blue on the chest. It's a lot more vivid than the vintage toy, and I kind of like it for that, actually. I do think that the Decepticon logo maybe could have done with a bit of a white outline or something to kind of pick it out, but still, it looks great overall. Of course, he's got the very typical Generations hips going on with the little pin in there. I mean, that's on basically all the toys nowadays, so kind of is what it is. Really enjoying his tread legs though. Those look great. I mean, you've got a little bit kind of folded around here, just around the bottom, and a little hollow space just there, but honestly, it's absolutely fine. So, and again, you know, there's the usual hollowness in some of the limbs sort of around there on the thighs, but it really looks fine in my opinion. It absolutely doesn't detract at all. And you know, you've got a bit of that on the rear as well, you know, on the kind of back of the arms here, and you do kind of feel that as you're handling it a little bit, like they do feel a little bit hollow, but I get why it's like that. You know, they can't all have little panels that kind of fold over to cover these things. Overall though, I gotta say, I love the look of this thing. I really like the colours on it as well, you know, the mix of the kind of red and blue and black and gold. It's unusual, it's not what I would have expected for Quake, but I kind of like that they did that, and it's just got such a presence as well. As I say, just very handsome, very good looking toy, digging it. Now, articulation wise, this guy's pretty good as well. So, I mean, on the head, you can spin it from side to side like so. Doesn't really look up and down any. You get a little bit of a wiggle, but that's about it. Arms are really good though. You've got a tiny bit of a butterfly joint going on, not much, but they will go all the way out to the side, up and over as well. Got a bit of a bicep rotation going on. You've got very decent bend at the elbow, up to well over 90 degrees as you can see, but nothing in the wrist, but still good overall. Now the legs on this guy are excellent. I mean, really great range of motion at those hips, goes all the way up as you can see. You've got a little bit of rotation going on there. Really nice bend at the knee as well, a little bit past 90 degrees, and you even get a bit of ankle tilt, which is really welcome. So great job on those legs overall. And not forgetting that waist articulation also. And it all serves to make him a pleasingly articulated robot. Like, this guy's a lot of fun to handle. He fits many poses really well, looks super dynamic, there's a good range at the joints. It's pretty much everything you'd want from a figure of this scale. I think it's excellent. Now, as I say, you've then got his little guns, his little target master partners, and I feel like people are going to have something to say about these guys, but all you do to convert them to their humanoid forms is fold up this little barrel section there, kind of into the body on the back, and you're done. Same on this guy, even though he's double-barreled, you literally just fold it over like so, and Bob's your uncle. Well, he's not actually called Bob. The one on the left here is called Heater, and the one on the right is called Tip Top, which are ridiculous names, but you know, that's what it is. And as I say, I feel like people are going to have something to say about these guys because they're not articulated at all. They are just little miniature bricks. You know, the arms don't move, the legs don't move, nothing moves, okay? Like literally nothing moves on these guys. But they are very, very reminiscent of the originals, and I kind of love them for that. I mean, to really show you what I mean, here we have the G1 originals, and lo and behold, it's exactly the same format. You can see the new ones really are modeled so closely after those originals, and I think that's super clever because I gotta be honest with you, I don't need tons of articulation in little things this size, right? Like I actually find it really fiddly, and like it can be too overcomplicated at this kind of really small scale. So the fact that they kept them as like little non-articulated bricks, there's a charm to that, I think, that I really kind of appreciate. I'm sure not everyone will agree, but for me, it works. Like, I'm sure some people won't like that you've still got the handle kind of sticking out on the chest here, but again, that is how it always was back in the day, so I kind of feel like it's fair game as far as this remake goes, and the paint is really nice, the sculpting is excellent, so it's a win as far as I'm concerned. And of course, it couldn't be simpler in terms of pegging these guys into Quake's hands. You literally just go ahead and pop them in on those pegs just like so. And I gotta say, that works for me. Like, as goofy as these guys are, they make excellent guns, right? Like, and I love the kind of quick approach of just flipping them back and forth. It's quite satisfying. You know, they don't need to be super articulated for my money. Like, I fully appreciate what they've done with these here. I feel like you can overthink these things sometimes, and they've kept it simple. They've kept it on the side of being a toy, which is what this is. I like it. Besides, Quake looks nothing shy of awesome double wielding these guys, right? Like, it's everything I wanted it to be. As I say, it really does feel like a kind of spiritual successor to the 1988 toy in that it's just, I don't know, it's got the look, it's got the vibe, but it's just more articulated. This is so much fun. Of course, you can also use the peg holes found on areas such as the bottom of his forearms or on his shoulders to kind of mount the guns in various places, so I think that is very enjoyable as well, and it looks really cool. Now, just like on the original toy, these guys do have a little peg hole on the top there, so you can actually peg these two guns together like so, forming a kind of double weapon, like a titular double target master, if you will. And come on, you can't tell me that's not awesome, right? That's just tons of fun. There is no amount of articulation that these guys could have had that would make me prefer that over what we got here. I just think that they've captured the essence of it. It's perfect. And you know, there's just an overall presence to this guy that I really am quite in love with. Like, this is one of the best looking and most fun robot modes I've seen in some time, I think. Genuinely. And here you can see him with that 1988 original, and it's a very fun comparison. I mean, again, the colours are quite different, a lot more muted on the original, and certainly a lot brighter on the Legacy version, particularly the blue, but also the red. And I don't know, it's very interesting to see, because in my mind's eye, the original looks much closer to the Legacy version, but when you put them side by side, you can really see a lot of the differences too. Now, one interesting aspect of this original toy that the Legacy version does not replicate is that it actually has a little bit of parts forming going on, because the tank barrel from the vehicle mode can come off, and it actually forms a third blaster, which can be equipped into his hands. So you can have the two target masters and this as well. So I always thought that was kind of unique, kind of cool. The Legacy doesn't do it, but it's not the end of the world. It's just interesting to note. Overall, though, I really like the approach that they've taken with this toy, in that it feels right versus the original. You know, it feels a lot like that character, and yet it's not beholden to it. Like, it's not completely slavish, and I think that's kind of interesting. You know, it's its own thing, and yet it feels right, as I say, so I'm all for it. Anyway, in terms of comparisons, here you can see him with his teammate Needlenose, the recent Legacy Needlenose, and of course they've both got the same kind of target master thing going on with that same gimmick, and I gotta tell you, I think they're doing a great job with all of these toys. I don't have Spinister for comparison here, but I have handled it before, and I think they've done a brilliant job with them. These second-year target masters have often been quite overlooked when it comes to toys, and these are fabulous. Conversely, here you can see him with a very different take on another Decepticon target master. This is the Legends Trigger Happy mold from 2016-2017, and very, very different. Like, it's so fascinating to me to see how much these designs have kind of evolved in that 7-8 year period. And Quake is much more of a kind of action figure in its way. Like, there's something completely different about the kind of design ethos to what was going on with Titan's Return and Legends, which isn't even that old, but they feel very separate. And finally, here you can see him with some other more recent generations efforts as well, we've got the recent War for Cybertron Soundwave mold, we've got Legacy Armada Megatron, and the Prime Universe Dreadwing as well. And I'm really kind of loving the mix and match approach of this line, honestly, just kind of throw all of these different characters into one big soup and kind of let it sit together. It's a real melting pot of stuff from over the last 40 years, and personally, I think it's really working. Like, it's just so much fun. So yeah, in many ways, this is a near pitch-perfect robot mode as far as I'm concerned, or as near as perfect as any of these things is realistically ever going to be. I certainly like it a lot. But is the vehicle mode going to be as successful? I guess we should find out. Now, the first thing we want to do is come around to the rear here and fold those little hands away like so, and then you can unclip this tank barrel on the back there, just fold that down, and then you want to unclip the chest like so, just fold that down, and then fold the whole kind of backpack and everything around like so, and then just come around here and clip that down. Got this whole arm section just there, which is on a little slider. You just want to push that up until it clicks, and then as far as the arms go, you want to rotate the bicep first of all, and then there's a little peg just here, so you want to kind of fold that in. Just make sure that pegs into place. Of course, it's exactly the same on the other side, but in this case, you want to make sure that peg just meets in the middle as well. Now, the legs here are quite interesting. First thing you want to do is just rotate the knee slightly up, and that just gives you the clearance to kind of fold this little bit down, like so, and just kind of get that over and out of the way. And then you want to take this section and just bring that out ever so slightly. You've then got this little hinge just inside the leg there. You want to fold that all the way up so it sits flush. That will then enable you to bring the foot down, and then you want to bring this bit up and actually fold this bottom section here all the way up and over, and that makes the end of the whole kind of tread section. Same on this side, so just rotate the knee slightly, and then that will enable you to just move this bit up and over. You can then bring that back bit out, and then that will give you the space that you need to kind of fold that little hinge in just like so. Then just fold the foot away, and then you've got that little section here with the kind of bottom end of the tread that just flips around. You can see it from the other side just there, and that just lines up nicely like so. Then it's time to bring it all together, so you want to flip the waist section in, and then you've got to get these tread sections up so they just come up on the side like so, and then you can start to just peg those into place. Same on this side. It's really, really easy. Just kind of want to bring it up and make sure that it's all kind of compressed and locked into place like so, and there we go. There's the result. And yeah, it's kind of looks like a tank. I don't know, it's definitely something. Like, I can't lie, it's a bit of a hot mess, this mode, right? Like, the robot mode was sublime. I don't know about this tank mode, man. Like, it's taking me out a little bit. It's a bit of a mess. Like, I don't know, all the bits are where they should be. Like, you got the turret and the barrel and everything on top, and the treads down the side, but everything around here just kind of smacks of compromise a little bit. These arms are super obvious. All the joints here, the kind of gaps and everything around the side, it's super obvious. This is obviously the chest. It's really not very cohesive. Just the whole thing looks really awkward. I don't know, it's just like a sort of approximation of a tank instead of any kind of satisfying alternate mode. You can see all the little gaps and everything in between just there, the little holes and things. Nothing about it works. For my money though, not only does it not look great, but it doesn't really function very well either. Like, the whole barrel section, the whole turret doesn't rotate particularly much past that. I mean, that is literally all you get. You cannot go around to the side, because if it does, this whole section gets pushed upwards, and you can fire up, I guess, at kind of a 45-degree angle, but that's about it. So it's very strange. I mean, I guess you can take that whole bit off if you want to, and then you're left with a box on treads, quite literally. Now, you can, if you want, add a bit of additional firepower, because the target masters can be mounted on the top just here using these little peg holes, and you can fit both of them as well, so that's kind of fun, I guess. It does actually kind of improve things, I think, a little bit, if anything, but still kind of goofy. Or, you know, there's the peg holes on the sides, and that's another option, I guess. And it's a bit of a shame, because when you compare it to the original, that is so much more tidy and cohesive and actually looks like a tank. But although I will say that actually the turret doesn't rotate on that at all either. It's made up of the robot mode arms, and that is static, so maybe that's not such a black mark on the new one, you know? To be honest though, this Legacy effort just looks a bit awkward in its vehicle mode. Like, it really feels like it should just squash down a little bit and be a bit more compact than it is. It's very, very weird, especially as it's a bit of an inauspicious finish to what is a toy that I was otherwise enjoying a lot. Like, I was ready to give this thing a near perfect score almost, you know, but this mode is definitely taking some points off, it's fair to say. Overall though, whilst it's a bit of a shame that the tank mode is so pants, I gotta tell you, I still love this thing overall. Like, it's a great robot mode, like a really great robot mode, fun gimmick with the target masters that kind of doesn't forget that it's supposed to be a toy first and foremost, fun transformation actually as well. It's literally just the tank mode that tears this thing down, because otherwise it's pretty solid. And I gotta tell you, for me, overall, it's a toot. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this review is brought to you by Transforverse.eu, so do go and give them a look. If you live in Europe and you're a Transformers fan, then they're absolutely the site that can help you out. And you will find a code down in the description as well, which is Sixoverse, which you can use to get 5% across their whole store with no minimum order quantity. So that's pretty good, isn't it? Go and get it. I'd also be very grateful if you could leave me a like for today's effort as well, please. But otherwise, that's it from me. So have a great rest of your day, and TTFN.